Hello, friends. In the series of learning computer organization and design, today we are going to learn about the cache memory. And this is the second session in regard to the cache memory. In the first session, we have learned about the introduction of the cache memory, right? So that portion is already done. The link of this introductory session is available in the description box, and the second is the mapping procedures, so which we are going to learn today. So mapping procedure is again very important and terminology that we need to learn today in context of the cache memory. So let's start learning about the mapping procedures and various mapping techniques which the cache memory use in order to store the data in it. So here is the thing. So first of all, let's start understanding about what is the meaning of the term mapping. Okay. So the first thing is let's build the background information. We know that there is a main memory which is consisting of some data, and there is a cache memory which is consisting of the same data as that of the main memory. Now, the point is that when we say the main memory, we know that it is a very large memory in terms of size, right? But the cache memory is comparatively very small memory in terms of the size. And we are saying that the data which is stored in the main memory is actually being stored here in this cache memory. So now I think you are able to understand the concept. So let us suppose there is some frequently or excess data here, and I am having the same data present here. Now the question is how the data, or you could say that the large data is stored in a small size memory, right? So this is again a question to understand. So this is what is the agenda of today's session. So how a large amount of data is actually being stored in a very small size of memory, which we usually call it as a cache memory. So in order to do this, in order to make this thing happen, what we need to do? We need to apply some mapping procedure or some mapping process. We need to map this data into a certain ways so that it can easily be accommodated into this small space. So this process is called as the mapping process. So now let's start understanding about the what is cache memory mapping in more detail. So the basic characteristic of cache memory is its fast access time. We know that, right? So therefore, very little or no time is wasted when searching for the words in the cache. So we are already familiar with this property of the cache memory. Now the question is the transformation of data from the main memory to cache memory. How we are transferring this data which is available in the very large size memory into, and how we are able to accommodate into it into very small size memory. That transformation of data is referred to as the mapping process. So in total we are having three mapping techniques existing: associative mapping, direct mapping, and set associative mapping. So this is what we are going to learn in more detail. We will have a brief knowledge about how the mapping procedure takes place when we are applying the associative mapping, how it is affecting the mapping procedure when it is direct mapping being there, and what is the set associative mapping and how does it can be implemented. Okay, so let's start or begin our session with the introduction to the associative mapping. So before beginning with that, so we are taking one example here because it is important to understand and analyze the situation with an example. Only then we can work upon the various types of mapping procedures, right? So first thing, I am considering that my main memory is consisting of this much of size. It is having 32,000 words, okay, starting from 0 to 31k or 1 to 32k words are actually being located here. Okay, and the size of each word is actually the 12 bits. So this is what the point is. And the cache memory, you can see that comparatively very small in size. So it is just having the 512 words residing starting from 0 to 51 or 1 to 512, right? And what is the size of the word here? The size I am taking the same because data hai, so it is the data, that's why. So the size is consisting of 12 bits. All right. So the point is that when we are saying negligibly very small in size, so this is how smaller the cache memory is in comparison to the main memory. So the main memory can store this much of words, which are consisting of 12 bits each. So I have already told you. The cache memory is capable of storing 512 of these words at the given time, right? So for every word stored in the cache, there is a duplicate copy in the main memory. We know that. So the CPU communicates with both memories. This is also we are aware of. CPU will first of all talk to the cache memory. So if the data is present here, it is okay. If it is not, then CPU will further talk to the main memory. So what will happen? The CPU will send a 15-bit address. So this is what we are consisting. The address size of the CPU is actually the 15 bits, which the CPU will send. Okay. And if there is an hit, so first of all, these 15 bits are sent to the cache memory. So if data is present, it means if it is a hit, the CPU will accept the 12 bits data from the cache. Okay, so this 12-bit data which is stored in the cache memory, the CPU will accept that data and will use it. But if there is a miss, if the data is not available here, now the CPU reads the word from the main memory, then it will go to the main memory and the word is then transferred into the cache memory later, right? Because if the miss will happen, it means data is not present in the cache. So the frequent operation, the very next operation which the cache memory will do is it will take the data into the cache memory. So this is what the point is. So now let's understand about the very first mapping technique, how we are mapping the cache memory contents using the associative mapping. So associative mapping, I hope that you have gone through the associative memory in which we were searching the data through the content only, right? So it is also known as content addressable memory. So in the associative memory, we were using the argument register, key register, and a match logic is being used, right? So the same procedure we are going to use here in the cache memory mapping as well. So let's understand what is this cache associative mapping here. So here is a point. The associative mapping stores both the address and the content of the memory word. This is actually is the cache memory or the memory area, you could say that. So what it is having right now is it is consisting of the address value as well as the data value. Okay. So what is happening here? This is an argument register because we know that in order to match the data, right? So it will have to be placed in the argument register. So what will happen? A 15-bit address of the CPU is actually being placed in the argument register and associative memory is searched for the mapping address. So we will just provide the 15-bit key here, which will only determine these 15 bits address. Okay. And what will happen if that address is bit matched from the data which is stored here, then what we will do, the corresponding data of the 12-bit data, whichever the match has been there, will be taken out and will be read and will be sent to the CPU. So this is how we will perform this associative mapping. So let's suppose for any reason if there is no match is been present, it means the data is not available in this cache memory. The main memory is accessed for the word, for definitely the same 15-bit data is now been taken to the main memory and the address data pair is then transferred to the associative cache memory. So because it was a miss, so it is the responsibility that the same data along with the address and the data is to be forwarded into this associative cache memory array. So if in any case, let's suppose, because this is a very small in size memory, if this cache memory is becoming filled, it is full, let's suppose. So how we are going to eliminate or delete the data? We will be using some replacement algorithms like first in, first out, or it could be LRU, least recently used. These kind of algorithms can be applied in order to take out the data from here. So one important point to understand here is that what we are doing is, just because we want to accommodate the data into the small size, so this data, this which is actually of 15 bits, is now been changed into the octal form. So that is what is the important to understand. We are placing the data here in the associative memory cache in the form of a octal form. So this is how associative mapping will work. Then there comes the second mapping procedure, which is also very important and commonly being used. We called it as a direct mapping. So what will happen in case of direct mapping? So before beginning with understanding this, let's have a thorough look at this particular diagram first. So we are having the main memory, which is of size 32K, and 12 bit is the size of the data. Okay, so the address size of this main memory is actually 15 bits, and the data bits are 12. And similarly, the cache memory is of size 512. So the address lines required are 9 bits. So it is like 2 raised to power 9 is equals to 512, and 2 raised to power 15 is equals to 32K results. And the data size is of 12 bits. All right. So what we did here, see, a 15-bit CPU address is divided into two fields. So this is very important to understand. We are having a total 9 plus 6 is equal to 15 bits, right? So this data we have segmented now in two forms. 6 bits, with 6 most significant bits are been considered as a tag, and 9 least significant bits are now we are considering them as an index, just for our reference. Okay, so this is what we are have written here. So what will happen? The main memory needs an address which includes both tag and index. Definitely, if the data is to be accessed from the main memory, we need both tag as well as index values. But the cache memory requires only the index bits, because cache memory is requiring only 9 bit of data. So 9 bits can be the index bits only. So there are 2 raised to power k words in the cache memory and 2 raised to power n words in the main memory. So this is we are already aware of. 2 raised to power k here is this 2 raised to power 15. K is 15, right? Sorry, 2 raised to power n is 15. So this much of data is available in the main memory, and this much data is available in the cache memory. Now the point here is, which is important to understand, is that these tag bits now we have changed into the octal form. So let me determine you when we are, let's make it more clear what is the meaning of the term octal. Octal means a 3 bit of data. Okay. So usually how many bits we are having for the tags is 6. This 3 bit we are considering as 1, and these 3 bits we are considering as 2. So a 6 bit octal data, 6 bit binary data, when been shifted into the octal form, will only be left with the 2 bits. That is why the 6 bits are being been segmented into 2. Same is for this. Now we are having 9 bits, 3, 3, and 3. Okay, so 9 bits are the index bits. So as I said, this is the first bit, this is the second bit, third bit. So this is a 3-bit resultant of the in the octal form. So usually we are storing the data in the form of octal forms here in the case of the cache memory mapping. So let's understand more about how this entirely will happen. So here is the point. So the point is, each word in the cache is consisting of a data word and the associated tag. Okay. So when the new word is brought into the cache, the tag bits are stored along with the size. So what we will do is, in the cache memory, we will be having the tag bits as well as the data bits, and the index will be used here as an address line. So it means the data is stored like this, and some data is present here, so on and so forth. Okay, so CPU generates the memory address request, and the index field is used to access the data of the you could say that to address to access the cache. So I think it will be better if I will demonstrate you with this example. So this is how the data is placed in the cache memory. Let's suppose the CPU wants to access the data. So it is sending its 15 bits address. Now that 15-bit address is further segmented into two forms, in the form of tag and in the form of index. So this index bits are being used here. Only 9-bit data has been used here because the cache memory is requiring only the 9-bit address. This is the only space allocated to the cache memory. So what will happen? We will match the index value, something like this, and correspondingly we will also match the tag. If both tag as well as the index matches, then the corresponding data will be taken from the cache memory and will be used by the CPU. So if for any reason this data, let's suppose, is not available in the cache memory, then the same tag and address field will be taken and will be used here by this index register. Okay, so it would be a 5-bit data actually. So will be used in the main memory and we will look for the exact data which is stored in the main memory. So this is how the direct mapping procedure will take place. So this is the further or advanced version of storing the data in the direct mapping when we are making the use of blocks. So blocks are consisting of some groups of words. So let's take this example. So direct mapping cache with block size of 8 words. So what we are having is we are using a block which is consisting of the size of 8 words. Okay, 000 to 007. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So total 8 words are being stored. So what is happening? We have segmented this 15 bits address into further 3 parts. So there were the 9-bit index bits been there. So 3 bits are used to signify the word, okay, and a block is to be signified with the 6 bits, and then the 6 bits are being used to signify the tags. So 6 in the octal can be used like in the form of 2 bits. So that is why these blocks will be used for the in the 2 bits format. Okay, the tag is further been used for the 2 bits because we will segment or we will change them or transfer them in octal form, and the word itself will be stored in the 3-bit format. So this is how we will be using it. So in the octal it will be consisting of only 1 bit. So this is how we are having total of 64 blocks available, and each block has 8 words stored in them. So what we are doing is we wanted to know the block size. Let us suppose the block number is 1, 0, 1, let's suppose. Okay, so 0, 1 is, let's suppose, this block number. We will go to the block number and then we will figure out what is the tag bit required. Okay, so the tag bit will be further determined. See, guys, again, don't get confused here. This is 0, 1 and 1. Let's suppose this is the value here. 0, 1 and 1. So 0, 1 I have searched. Suppose 0, 1, 0. So 0, 1 I will have to provide here, and the 1 bit is been provided. So I will search for a 0, 1 in the index bit and the 1 is the word. So this particular value which has been present here along with the associated tag value will be used to store the data. Okay, so we will actually ultimately getting this particular data back in the direct mapping procedure. I hope that you have understood this concept. Again, just I am going to skim you about it. Here what we are having is there is an index bit which has been divided now into 2 parts. So this 6-bit address is signifying me the block. So I need 2 bits data because we are storing the data in the octal form. And this, the last bit, is just determining the word which I need to search. And then there is a tag bit. So these are the tag bits. So depending upon the value available, I need to search this entire data in the cache memory. So in the example, we have taken a total of 64 blocks. So from that particular block, from that specific block, I can figure out or take the data which has been required by me. So there is a next procedure now, which we called it as the set associative mapping. This is quite similar to the associative mapping. The only thing is that now we are using a set of data. Okay, so you can see that uh, if we go ahead, here there was a repetition of the tags. So definitely there could be a chance because we are using the size, the similar size, and even the binary bits keeps on changing. So what happens is that we have taken this particular thing into consideration. It might be the case that at the address index value, let's suppose the address value is like 00000, 5-bit address, so it could remain 0 like this, right? It means that this index value is keep on changing, but the tag bit is remaining the same. Or the another thing can also be the happening, like the index value is only this, and the tag bit is keep on changing, right? So my point here is that, so why not to use this particular thing as an application? So what we did, we have considered that for all the same values of index, what if we are having the different values of tags available? Let's provide those tag values in the form of a set at one place only. So this is the cache memory. And how we have located the data? We will be searching the data in the argument register only through the index value. And when we will be searching that index value, what we will do? We will look for the corresponding tag that we are looking for. Okay, let's suppose this 000 and 10 is the or 01 is the data that I am looking for. So at this address, 01 tag is there. I need not to refer to this particular value. So directly the data of 3450 will be taken out from the cache memory and will be used by the CPU for the further referencing. Same is the case if for that 000 the tag bit required is 02. So I will not be using it, but the point is this is further helping me in reducing the access time, right? So that is why we are also referring to this set associative mapping kind of procedure. So in the in the each index address refers to the two data words and their associated tags. That's why, just because we are referring the two data words or the tags, right? That is why it is called as the set associative mapping. So this is the reason for calling it as a set associative mapping. So the only thing that you need to remember here is that, see how much data is stored here. What is the size of the word being stored here? So each tag is requiring the 6 bits and each data is of 12 bits. So the total word length stored here is of what particular size? See, this is 6 bit, this is 6 bit, this is 12 bit data, this is 12 bit data. If we talk in the binary. So this much data is actually been stored in the cache memory. So this is what the point is. So total of 36 bits are been stored. So index value is of 9 bits. It can accommodate this much of words. So it can easily accommodate 1024. So double of it, you could say, right? Memory words. So when CPU generates the memory request, the index value of the address is used to access the cache, and the tag field of the address is just compared with both the tags in the cache. So what if we this set associative mapping becomes full? So we need to apply certain algorithms like random replacement, FIFO, least recently used algorithm, in order to replace the data with the new information. So this was all about the mapping procedures in the cache memory. I hope that you have understood today's session. Thank you so much for joining this session.